Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We are live. Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, share this video out on your social media platforms. And also, as usual, please, most importantly, do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. With the introduction out the way, let's get today's stream started. And shout out to my man Saul for coming through as he always does. I appreciate you being here, bro. Let's jump into this, right? Hopefully this isn't going to take up too much time, but I did feel that it was worth discussing. Was when recently, very recently, AOC embarrassed America on the world stage at the, I believe it was called the Munich Security Conference, right? She thoroughly embarrassed America on the world stage, and I believe it's definitely worth talking about. And it's also definitely worth talking about the embarrassing efforts of the women of the View trying to defend AOC being a fumbling, bumbling buffoon, because the fact that she is one, it's very problematic to say the very least, and we're going to unpack that as the stream moves forward. But I want to start here first in terms of just, how much of a buffoon this woman actually is. This isn't the main clip that I want to reference, but I do want to start with this first. Look at this here. In this clip that I'm going to play for you here first, AOC essentially she's addressing Donald Trump removing Maduro from power in Venezuela. And I just want you to listen to what she says here. Take a listen, right? Look at this, or let's just say listen to this.
We look at what happened in Venezuela, for example. It is not a it is not a remark on who Maduro was as a leader. He canceled elections. He was an anti-democratic leader. That doesn't mean that we can kidnap a head of state and engage in acts of war just because the nation is below the equator. And by the way,
can somebody please explain to me what that means? Number one, Venezuela, as you can all clearly see, is not below the equator. This was a failed attempt at her trying to sound intelligent and saying something profound. But nonetheless, even if Venezuela was below the equator, what would that actually mean? Does that mean that all nations that are above the equator is fair game and Donald Trump can, kidnap those leaders? You get what I'm saying? She does this often where she's trying to sound intelligent. She's trying to say something profound, but then just often comes off as being a complete idiot. But this is the main clip that everyone has been going crazy for, right? This is the main clip right here. Look at this when she thoroughly embarrassed our entire country on the world stage. Look at this here. This is apparently the best and brightest coming out of America, right? Look at this.
And should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
What in the world is she talking about? How embarrassing is that? Really think about how embarrassing that is. You know how embarrassing that I get embarrassed when I get on these live streams and lose my train of thought. I can't imagine how embarrassing it is for you to be a sitting member of Congress on the world stage. And when you're asked a relatively basic question, and I think it's a basic question, given the fact that you're sitting there, right? So if you're sitting in the position that you're in at the Munich Security Conference, you should be able to answer that kind of question when it's asked to you. And the fact that you sat there and went, for about 45 seconds before you could string together words that didn't make sense. I think that that's thoroughly embarrassing, to say the very least. And it speaks a lot to the direction that we're going to the direction that we are headed towards as a country. And I'm going to unpack that more as we get into this clip from The View next. Because when I go through this clip here from The View, this is where I really want to start explaining my position concerning AOC, The View, and really the dangerous trajectory that we're headed towards as it pertains to the kind of people that are being elected to office, right? So let's get into this clip next from The View.
She didn't necessarily have a great grasp on geopolitics.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. Sorry about that. Take two.
So clearly, my mother used to say, don't spit up in the air, it comes back in your face. Okay?
Just so you understand, what they were just reacting to was Donald Trump's response to AOC, just so you're not lost, okay?
Check him out before you start attacking AOC, who, by the way, it sounded a little homina, but, you know, compared to him, it's like Mensa.
Well, I think mispronouncing a word is totally different than not knowing your position on Taiwan. And what's important is how you recover from something. You know, Trump, he has done things. He has continued on with his speech and then continued on to meet with world leaders. Yeah. So the recovery is what mattered, and the AOC just didn't have a recovery.
No, but
I want to stop right there. She said the recovery is what mattered, and AOC just wasn't able to recover. The problem is that AOC is not smart enough to recover. She fumbles like this regularly, and she's been in the public eye and holding public office for too long for you to not have learned anything and for you to still not be able to articulate yourself when it comes to just the basics of what you should know. I don't know how many of you guys saw this, but I remember it was sometime last year. There was a CNN town hall with AOC and Bernie Sanders. She was being asked some of the most basic questions concerning what's happening in the United States and how she feels and the kind of policies that she feels would be necessary to correct the things that are happening in the United States. She couldn't answer the most basic town hall questions to save her life. Bernie Sanders had to intervene to save her repeatedly, over and over and over again. Bernie Sanders is a genuine, true blue career politician. You can not like him and not like his positions and policies all you want. He's a socialist on all that good stuff. I get it, and I'm right there with you. But, you know, when the guy gets on the big stage, he can talk. He can spit. He says the things that need to be said, and he knows how to articulate himself, whether you agree with him or not. And the degree to which he had to continuously intervene to save AOC was just embarrassing. She's essentially sitting amongst her peers and was doing the same thing. And you know, it's like, and once again, she's been in office, I believe now, since 2019? This is always her. A lot of people try to shoot AOC bail, just like they do with Jasmine Crockett. And they like to say that they're playing a character, right? When they're coming off as kind of ditzy. But the reality is that they're not playing characters. That's actually who they are. They're not smart. They're unintelligent. They're, quite frankly, dumb when it comes to the issues that they need to be at least halfway knowledgeable of to be able to have a decent conversation. These people aren't playing stupid. They are stupid. That's just the reality of it. But let's carry on. Let's listen to what these women have to say. And if you haven't, please make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. I deeply appreciate that.
Is what mattered, and the AOC just didn't have a recovery.
no, but he does it over and over again. How about the quantity of times?
Let's point out that, you know, he is the president.
Yeah.
And he's been the president before.
For 25 years, it seems.
So my point is that I can take homina from Congress people and stuff. You don't have yourself together, that's on you. Mm-hmm. Can't take it from the guy who says he's the leader of the free world. It's harder to take.
Yeah.
It's harder to take.
I understand that whole.
Stop that right there. That's complete nonsense. And that's a defense mechanism that they keep using to deflect from AOC being a moron. If we're just being completely honest, they'll say that, well, she's not president of the United States, though, as if that matters, right? I'm going to play this quick clip for you. I wasn't going to play it, but let me interrupt this clip from The View just to show you, like, even on CNN with the tool Abby Phillips, she runs that same nonsense talking point, right? Let me pull this up. I think this is it right here. I'm not going to play everything that Abby Phillips said, but just that portion. Listen to this.
For AOC, but the question is also, what happens when the president, the actual president of the United States, does very similar things on the world stage? So
he doesn't do similar things on the world stage. Like I said, that's a deflecting tactic. He doesn't do similar things. You've never seen him on the world stage being a complete bumbling fool. Who we have seen on the world stage be a complete fumbling, bumbling fool is Joe Biden. And just like you see with AOC, they're deflecting and diverting the same way that they were doing with Joe Biden. So no matter how idiotic their candidates are and their politicians are on the DNC side of things, they're always going to defend and deflect the foolishness that's coming out of their mouths, where these people clearly don't know what they're talking about, but yet they're sitting in positions of power that's dictating not just world events, but obviously events occurring within the interior of the nation that affects all of our lives. And that's where I thoroughly disagree with what they're saying on The View and what Whoopi was saying as it pertains to, I can accept hamana from congressmen and women, but I can't accept hamana from the president of the United States. No, I can't accept hamana from congressmen and women, because you're sitting in a position of power that's dictating what's happening in the country that affects all of us, right? Like right now, if I remember correctly, right, we have a partial shutdown going on that affects those that are working within TSA and a whole bunch of other government employees. These government employees aren't rich. They're not making money hand over fist like members of Congress. They're broke just like you and me. They don't have two nickels to rub together just like you and me. They don't have money in their savings account for an emergency just like you and me. But them playing politics and being dumb is affecting their lives in a major way, which then trickles back to you, because they're working in these government positions that we need them to work in, so that when we enter these establishments, that we can get the services that we need. Now you can't get the services that you need because the government officials are calling out of work because they don't have the money to pay them. But I can accept hamana from a congressman and woman. No, I can't accept that. And one of the biggest issues here too is that what we're looking at right now is that we're looking at lawmakers. You know what I'm saying? We're looking at lawmakers that are actually social media influencers. And that's the biggest issue that we're having right now. We're seeing social media influencers being elected to positions of power as lawmakers in Congress and in the Senate, as you can see with Jasmine Crockett running for the Senate, which she's going to lose. But that's where you get hamana. AOC is a social media influencer. That's why she's been in office as long as she has, and it's still, she's not picking it up. She still can't speak. She still can't articulate her points. She still doesn't know whether she's coming or going. That's where you have somebody like a Jasmine Crockett who's scrambling right now to stay within the political realms by now running for Senate after she was drawn out of her district in Texas. Well, now let me reach for the stars, I guess you can say, which is really a leap of faith, because I don't believe there's any way in hell that she's going to win the Senate in Texas. But she's reaching and grasping that high up because she's so desperate to maintain her position in politics as a social media influencer, because it's big money. We've seen how so many of these congressmen and women go from zero to millionaire in just a matter of a year or two once they get into office. And they don't want to let go of that. And they know that they can dupe at least enough people on their side to vote them into office, despite the fact that they don't know anything. Once again, they're social media influencers that once they get outside of the comfort zone of talking points, and you need them to elaborate just a little bit more on what it is that they actually believe and that they're actually about, all of a sudden now you get homina. You get what I'm saying? So anyways, let's get back to what they were saying on The View to unpack that a little bit more as we're getting closer to bringing this stream to an end. And once again, if you haven't already, please hit the like button and make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are not.
If you don't have yourself together, that's on you. Can't take it from the guy who says he's the leader of the free world. It's harder to take.
Yeah.
It's harder to
No,
take.
I understand that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
AOC, though, is also the Democrats' pick for the next election.
No,
No. I don't know that that's
You got to tell that to Gavin Newsom.
Yeah. Well, I think Alexandria, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez has made it pretty clear that she's not running for president, but that what she was doing as a member of Congress, and I'm happy actually to see people in Congress doing something and doing some of their job, right? Because they do have oversight. And she is actually is on the House Committee on Energy and Commerce, and she was appointed to the Energy, Health, and Oversight and Investigations Committees. And so she made it clear while she was in Munich that she was there to point out the rise of authoritarianism. Did I say that correctly? Yes.
Authoritarianism.
Authoritarianism.
So as you see, it happens to everybody.
You know, I say the blind leading the blind. Look at the dumb defending the dumb. You can't even say authoritarianism. What did she say? Authoritarianism. What is she talking about? This is definitely the dumb leading the dumb. Okay.
Did I say that correctly?
Rewind it back. It's crazy.
And investigations committees. And so she made it clear while she was in Munich that she was there to point out the rise of authoritarianism. Did I say that correctly? Yes. Authoritarianism.
So as you see, it happens to everybody.
Even women like Sonny cannot pronounce authoritarian.
So she was there to highlight sort of that and the rise of fascism, and how when there is income inequality, you generally will have this barren class of aristocrats and billionaires running the United States and perhaps Latin America. I think that's why she was there and where she was going. And so that's a good reason to be there, even though she didn't necessarily have a great grasp on geopolitics. Yeah.
You know what really irritates me is that when I'm not going to replay it again, but you hear Sonny trying to defend her, and she says, I think that's why she was there. Once again, the dumb defending the dumb. You don't even know why she was there. This is where I start hating and I start pocket watching. Okay. These people like this woman here, okay, are getting paid millions of dollars to speak to millions of people, yet they have absolutely no idea what they are talking about. What do you mean? I think that's why she was there. You have producers, you have writers, you got a lighting team, you got makeup artists, you got a wardrobe, you have everything that you need to at least make you appear to be someone intelligent, and you still manage to get on TV and sound and look stupid. And I do mean look as well. And I do mean look as well. That's crazy. Meanwhile, these people are the ones that they're saying you should take seriously, and not someone like me on YouTube. But in reality, they're no different than me. They're on the same level as me, and dare I say I'm better. Dare I say I'm better. I'm 1,000 times better. And give me the resources that they have. Trust me, I wouldn't be on ABC looking like this. I wouldn't be on ABC looking like this. But even with all the resources that they have at their disposal, they still present themselves as unintelligent, uninformed, dumb. Okay? They still present themselves in that fashion. Kamala Harris was the greatest example of that. Vice President of the United States. You want to talk about having all the resources that you need to at least put up a good front that you know what you're talking about. And even with all the resources at her disposal, getting softball questions from the idiots of The View, she was still getting up there talking about humana. It's crazy, man. It's completely absurd. But this is the direction and trajectory that we're still headed in. Social media influencers becoming career politicians. It's a scary thing to think about, because these people are making the decisions that affect all of our lives. All of our lives. And shout out to my man Double C's with the greatest username in all of YouTube. He said, "Take my coon money." I'll take it, sir. I'll take it. I'll definitely take your $5. I'll definitely take it. And that does it for today's stream. And I was able to do it in 20 minutes. Thank goodness. Because I have another video that I got to do right after this, right? Not a live stream, but another video that I need to pre-record or release later on today. So with all that being said, thank you guys for joining me today. All right, please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms, and please don't forget to follow me on Telegram. That is extremely important that you do so, that you follow me on Telegram so that you get all my notifications whenever I go live and or drop a video. So with that, thank you all for your time. Until the next stream, peace and have a great afternoon.